You feel like you guys are ready for what they'll see tomorrow night?
I do. I do feel really well prepared. Now you got to react and respond when you get out on the court, and got to kind of adjust as the game goes. You never know how it's going to be officiated. Really, the flow of the game kind of dictates how guys respond to certain things. So, but in terms of what they're going to see and how well they'll feel prepared, I feel like we're in a good place.
What do you see in these young players, especially the freshmen, in terms of going into their first Big 12 game, kind of the energy level they have?
It's a combination of, there's some genuine excitement. Um, a lot of them, this is kind of what they've been looking forward to. And we played a schedule that was pretty comparable to a lot of the teams that we'll be playing. But, they don't know as much about those teams as they will about these guys. But there's also an element of nervousness. I mean, there's some nerves. It's natural. And so we'll have to help them through those early moments and let them know the game will settle and it'll be a normal basketball game after the first 4 or 5 minutes.
What do you? I'm sorry. Thanks. What do you notice about Iowa State when you watch film on them?
First, they're really, really talented, extremely versatile. They've obviously stacked multiple really good recruiting classes on top of each other, and they're really well coached. Steve Prohm's done a great job with his offensive system. They can score in a lot of different ways, and they're better defensively than you would expect because they don't necessarily try to take you out, but they got great length, so they're always in front of you, and they really force you to take tough shots over them.
Thomas said that Iowa State's really effective at spacing the ball, and you guys have kind of struggled defensively against Villanova, Nebraska, and Houston are teams that come to mind that space the ball really well. What's improved since those games that you think you can build upon going into tomorrow night's game?
I think just our positioning is better. I think we've had more practice time here to work on some of those things that we didn't necessarily see enough of early. And so we've been able to take those film that we've seen from Villanova, from Houston, and areas that we've struggled in, just really mainly keeping the ball in front of us. And then knowing where the rotations need to come from once we have a breakdown. And then ultimately, you got to make sure you're challenging shots as much as possible because guys, when they're open, they make them.
Do you feel like the preparation those first 12 games gave you guys was worth the exchange of a 6-6 record?
That's a hard question, really, to answer. I mean, probably something I could maybe say later on to really give you an idea. I mean, I got to see how we respond. I mean, I think it's helped us to this point. I still feel like the schedule was a good one for this team. Maybe a little on the aggressive side, but I'm always probably going to err more on the aggressive side of scheduling as much as I can because this is what we're preparing for. And again, I've said it time and time again, I would never want these guys to come out here tomorrow at 8 o'clock and look around and say, wow, this is what real athletes look like at the high major level. And so we'll always play really challenging teams to start the season, and hopefully we're playing better basketball this time of year than we were in November.
How young this team is it nice that this first Big 12 game is at home?
Oh, certainly. I mean, but it's also, we'll play 9 of them in really hard places. And so we're prepared. We've gone on the road and played in tough environments. And, I feel like our team is really prepared for anything we see in a lot of ways because of the schedule we put them through. And now, again, they just got to go react and respond and play with confidence.
How much attention do you just kind of pay to what the league has been doing overall?
More so in the last week or so than before that. Just kind of looking through the season stats for each team. But mostly I've been focused on Iowa State here recently. But I have panned over the league leaders in different areas. Know that I think I've said this to somebody before. We talk about our offense having not been as good as it needed to be to this point. And it's not necessarily going to get easier because several of the top teams defensively in the country are in this league. And so it's been a good learning experience for us. But I know that every team in our league is really competitive and probably a tournament-type team.
What are you most looking forward to about the conference slate?
Just, the familiarity, the intensity ramps up a little bit. The focus on attention to detail and scouting ramps up a little bit. And we've all got to bring our A games every night. And, you have to play hard, but that only gives you a chance. You also have to play well. And this is a league that, unlike a lot of other leagues, you can play really well and lose because the competition is just that great. And so a lot of respect for all the coaches and the other teams in the league and knowing we got to play really well to have success, and we hope to start that tomorrow.
I can't pronounce his name, but Iowa State's got a guy who scores average about 20 points a game. Do you expect Cam to kind of be?
Shayop?
Yes.
Yeah, he's really talented. One of the things that's unique about him is he's been on a really, really good teams his whole career. He sat out last year when they struggled, but He was on the #1 seed team at Virginia 2 years ago, and knows what it looks like to have success at the highest level. Comes from a basketball family, highly skilled, but he's a matchup that Cam will have to embrace. But he can't do it himself. We're a team that's got to guard, 5 guys at one time, and then we've got to make sure that everybody understands in certain situations, Yor may be switched on to him in a situation in transition. He's got to understand his strengths and weaknesses and try to follow the game plan accordingly. The guy's going to score, right? You don't average 20 and then all of a sudden you go disappear in Big 12 play. So we expect him to play well. We just got to make him inefficient.
Talked a lot about the young guys' growth, but Cam has had to go against, like dude after dude after dude. How have you seen him grow through this non-conference slate?
Well, again, he's one that probably has taken on a little bit more mature approach to the whole season in general. He understands, even in some of the games that we've won, we haven't necessarily played well enough to have won a game in this league, right? So he's always been mindful of, hey, that's not going to be good enough come January 2nd. And he's been preaching that, and it helps to have a player saying those things, not just a coach. So I appreciate his leadership along with Lindy and Thomas because they've been through it.
Thomas mentioned you gave him a book to read, and that's part of his New Year's resolution. What, have this past couple weeks for him been like? He's his 3-point percentage has dipped kind of consistently. Just how have you kind of been helping him through that?
Not much, I just keep going back to summer. He made 26,000 of them, I feel great confidence in his ability to knock down shots. He doesn't need to feel any pressure to do anything different. We just got to continue to find ways to get him good shots, and I think over time his percentage will be fine. As long as he's taking the right kind of shots and the shots that he practices, I feel very comfortable with where he is.
You mentioned as you left your press conference the other day that New Year's is kind of an overrated holiday, but did you make any resolutions?
No, I'm not big into resolutions. I try to do the thing in February every year. It's kind of a disciplinary thing. I actually just told my team that this may be the first year in 15 years that I don't do it, and I'm looking ahead, and I'm come out here and practice, and I have to expend so much energy with these young guys. I told my wife she may be happy in February if I don't do my diet this year because I need all the energy possible to get this team through the Big 12 season.
Thomas come to you saying, "Hey, what's a good book I can read?" Just looking at
I've
Thomas
got.
and Thomas,
I've essentially got a mini library in my office. That's really the only thing I do outside of watching basketball is read. So I've got books that I pass them out as I talk to guys all the time and may suggest that they read something. But he's had a couple now. Cam's had one. I gave Curtis one. So just trying to pass along. I think it's great discipline in reading, a lot to learn, and a good way to kind of pass time by rather than looking at your phone the whole time.
Is that something you picked up from another coach or maybe your mom? Like what?
No, I think I don't know when it was. I've always enjoyed reading. I don't know why. Kind of the nerd in me. I was always a fairly good student and enjoyed just learning about different things. I read pretty much about anything, and it's just something that stuck with me for a long time.
What's the book that stood out to you the most?
Wow, I don't know. I've read a lot. I mean, I've read a lot of coaching books, obviously, a lot of leadership books. I read a book called Extreme Ownership this summer, which really opened my eyes to the type of leadership that I hope to have within this program. Just talks about how everything starts with the guy at the top and how you have to embrace the responsibilities when things are not going so well and when you got to fight through hard times. And I encourage my entire staff to try to read that book as well. And they all got a copy of it, and I think they took me to task on that. And so we try to approach it with that type of mentality this year. And we're going to own everything that happens, and we're going to find ways to make it better as we go along.
Coach, as far as the conference race goes, does it feel like it's still Kansas to lose probably, or is there?
I mean, I picked K-State to win it. Obviously, Kansas is really, really talented. I only picked K-State because I think they have a little bit more experience. Guys have been through it. Those guys, I mean, pretty much all were on the Elite Eight team last year. And Kansas lost quite a bit from a team that went to the Final Four. So probably splitting hairs there, to be honest. But, OU's gotten off to a heck of a start this year. Tech's really, really talented. Texas is really talented. I mean, I don't look at, and I try not to even look down the schedule. I said that the other day because it just makes you start to get migraines. But and really focus on a really talented Iowa State team for tomorrow. But I know the league is really, really competitive, and got to have a short memory one way or the other.